the Minister of Health, the Minister of Finance, and the CSA Director Posse, responding to the communications that cited them to come and state reasons why they should not be held in contempt for not coming to the court of the Senate. What is the word and pleasure? Senator Finley.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem, distinguished colleagues. I think the communication is clear. Who should be before this plenary? And I see no reason why any deputy minister should be here. I see no reason why no proxy, because we can't hold a proxy in contempt. So I would ask your indulgence, colleagues, that we please excuse the deputy ministers. I'm sure that both the Minister of Health and Finance came with their legal counsel, and the legal counsel can stay in these proceedings, but deputy minister have no place, assistant minister or no proxy in this particular process. So I ask your indulgence.
Is that the voice of the Senate? Yes. So we'll ask all deputy ministers, proxies to leave. Do we care to hear why the CSA Director has a proxy yet? All right. So since in the Senate communication, we have all the proxies and the ministers. So leave only the ministers and the lawyers should leave. Prime Minister of Health and Honorable Minister of Finance, can you tell us if you have your lawyers here and introduce them? Oh yes, Saja This kind of minister.
Rise up. I do hereby solemnly swear. The testimony which I am about to give. And my recollection. Is the truth. And nothing but the truth. So help me God. The witness is not qualified to sit for the hearing.
Thank you. We have your lawyer here.
Yes, Honorable Pro Tem, I have Anthony Malaya Tamachio and Councillor Ingrid Boba.
Mr. Minister of Finance.
No lawyer. No, I don't have.
Distinguished colleagues, the Minister of Health presented two lawyers, no lawyer for the Minister of Finance. So we hear from the Minister of Finance without his lawyer, Senator Finley.
But I'm pro there, you are out there, I want to play on
the
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate, welcome. Mr. President, the Senate, distinguished colleagues, I understand the Minister of Finance is without legal counsel, which is his right to waive and proceed with his proceedings. That is his right, and it's our right to offer due process to him. And we would like to see that there from him, since he's on oath, if he wants to continue with his proceedings.
Mr. Vice President, observation. It has been instructed that all the ministers will leave as the minister for leave. How about that? All of them said that. The minister is here for that.
They will support their principles.
The minister of financial company. Because maybe the information was not clear. Yeah, no, if the minister for tax is here, the minister for financial company. That's been fair enough.
That's true.
Mr. President, the issue is that this plenary took a decision to invite Minister Lafuna, Minister Koto, and CSA Director, and the legal counsel. The Minister of Health has said she is here today with her two legal counsel. She did not introduce them as deputy ministers, but rather legal counsel, which is their profession. And that is the capacity that I understand they are serving in today, not deputy ministers. So my colleague is raising the issue of deputy minister. They are not sitting in their capacity as deputy minister. I'm sure they have license as lawyers. And if we want to request a license, we can request a license. But my understanding is that they are in the capacity as professional lawyers.
So are we the two people you're talking about?
Yeah, the two legal counsel.
Are you people lawyers or deputy members? You're sitting here as a lawyer. You said, oh, sitting as a lawyer? Okay, thank you. You're sitting as a lawyer. Thank you. Mr. Kafani, that's true. You're here as a lawyer. No, let's see.
Yes, as a Vice President, President of the Senate, and honorable senators, I didn't come with a lawyer because I don't think that I came to be legalistic. Because the issue for which you called me and wanted me to clarify is not a legal issue. So coming to the House of Elders, also from wisdom, I decided to come and meet.
The Minister of Finance is simply to tell us he waived his right to a lawyer. We'll get to him why he should not be held for 10 days. He has been on. That's the procedure. So according to order, to tell that he decided that he will waive his right to a lawyer or not.
Yes, as I said earlier, I came over a lawyer. We have lawyers at the Ministry of Finance. So I waive the right because I'm here at the House of Elders.
Thank you. With that said, did you have any telephone, Madam President? Yes. Okay. So we can give them a chance to explain now? Yeah, so we start with Minister Kafan. Are you impressed with the issue? Yeah.
The Senate summoned the 2 officials of government, 3 officials of government to come and tell us why they should not be held in contempt. I think a representation of the Senate should make a case so that they respond, because they are defendants before the Senate.
Okay, that's why I'm asking whether they are impressed with the issue. If they are not impressed with the issue, then can we get Senator to present the issue? Okay, so that is Secretary reading the letter. Can we start with yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished colleague, the letter did not go into Senator Koga's presentation. And I think it would be fair to give Senator Koga an opportunity, maybe 2 minutes, to lay the basis of what led to these proceedings today. It didn't just come out of that particular communication, it came out of a process that was laid down before the Senate. And I think, Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished colleague, I would ask your indulgence to please allow Senator Koga to lay the basis of where it came from.
Okay, so thank you, Senator Koga. Please make your clear.
Mr. President of the Senate, fellow colleagues, let me say thank you. Mr. Bizani, consistent with Article 44, anything that impedes the function of the legislature is contemptuous. Meanwhile, the ministers and the director were invited officially by this other body, and the letter was received, signed for, and the return copy were brought to this other body without anticipation that upon receipt of this communication, they were going to come and attend the invitation. But on the contrary, only the Minister of Education, who had an earlier study with the President, wrote this other body informing us about the impromptu situation and therefore telling us when she will be ready to come. Unfortunately, the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Health willfully, intentionally, vehemently refused to acknowledge this other body with a written communication. In that manner, Mr. President is a due respect and is a breach of the 1986 Constitution, Article 44. Predicated upon this, the Senate decided to invite them out of contempt charges because what they did, the bonus on contempt. And in the same vein, the Constitution also protects whosoever that may be accused of any charge or crime or what have you, under Article 21C, to be guided by their counsel. Based upon this, they were instructed in that invitation that while coming, they should come along with a lawyer for anything, because they will be the one to guide them legally. Because contempt is a constitutional matter. This is the reason why the communication was written. It is given upon this other body that all of them, ministers, should come along for counsel based on constitutionality. Thank you. So that's the issue of the contempt. The issue for which the cause also got that issue.
It's not a contempt now.
It's not an issue of the contempt issue. Okay. So with that said, Mr. Gafan, I think you can take the lead and inform the Senate why you should not be held in contempt for not appearing before them when you receive the communication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We at the Ministry of Finance, consider the Senate or the legislature in general as critical to the success of the ministry, critical to the achievement of the goals that we all set as a government. So I will not willfully and intentionally decide to not to honor the invitation of the Honorable Liberian Senate. As you all know, we are in difficult moments with the situation evolving in the Middle East that have some reverberations on us. I chair the technical economic management team that comprises other actors in the economy. We also are facing some issues, some of you are aware, with the situation of our border. I am a member of the National Security Council, which has been meeting since Monday, including last night. We met as a cabinet on Thursday to discuss our development agenda, the progress for the first year challenges. We did not exhaust, and we had planned to exhaust the remaining pillars on Tuesday, and given the time that was allotted, given that it was just those residual pillars, my intention was to deal with those issues and make myself available at the Honorable Liberian Senate to join colleagues to give more insight in what we know about the situation at bar. As we were meeting, in fact, I had even earlier informed the President that I would be coming to the Senate, but things evolved. While we were meeting, the situation on the border got a little bit more exigent, and the cabinet had to huddle in making some quick decisions, some of which have some monetary implications. And while we were meeting, we had to conclude some initiatives with the Liberia Petroleum Refining Corporation to ensure that we don't run out of critically needed fuel. And those actions were, I was at the center of those actions. And while I was even attempting, your colleagues, the Honorable House of Representatives, had asked that I be presented, my living body be presented at the House. So it was an issue that we had to address. My deputy, who was here to tell you that I'm coming, reached at the legislature, and when she heard that it was not only my living body that was being sought, but all deputies, she was in the perimeters but she had to find some tactical way to deal with it. And so, while in conversation with the House, explaining some things, when we contacted through the deputy, because I was on my way and were told that the session had adjourned. So there was no intention to disregard or disrespect this honorable body. The issue at the House had to do with payments. As we speak, I don't want to name the bank. We are facing problem. There is not only members of the legislature. Monies were remitted almost 2 weeks ago, but there's a bank that is facing some challenges in paying government workers. So want to understand the sentiment at the House, and I'm told that some of you here are affected. We have to take time. I don't want to make the situation worse, but it's been sorted out. And so while doing that, trying to negotiate with your colleagues, the Speaker and his team, and trying to make my way, we're told that the session had been adjourned. So that's why I came. I said earlier that this is not legalistic, that I'm coming to the House of Elders. I'm always available. So I had no intention, I would never ever set out to disregard the Honorable Liberian Senate. The only reason why I brought my deputy and the technical folks, because I'm very aware that the issue about that you call the session was still germane, and so that if to the extent that you want that conversation can be held. So I'm at your disposal and also at your mercy. So, but whatever your wisdom decides, I'm your humble servant. Thank you very much.
That was the voice of the Honorable Finance Minister.
Honorable VP and Honorable Contempt and Honorable Senators, wish to respectfully state that it was never my intention to disregard or undermine the authority of this august body. We at the Ministry of Health, we hold the Senate in the highest regard and fully understand its responsibility and oversight. As the Finance Minister said, we had a cabinet meeting, and the cabinet meeting lasted until I think 4 or 5. So knowing that I had an obligation, I sent my deputy ministers, who's directly involved with the payroll, the DMA, the controller, as well as the human resource director, to come and represent me at this meeting. But unfortunately, I think they got delayed in the traffic and they could not come here on time. So on behalf of myself and that of the Ministry of Health, I would like to say we apologize that in the event, whenever there is a meeting here, we ensure that those that are doing the representation arrive earlier than anticipated. I think the overhead bridge, probably they did not, they underestimated the traffic at the overhead bridge when they started to come. That's what caused the delay.
So, Senator, to listen to the CSA partner here, right? All right.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues. I've listened to both of the ministers. I have a question for them. do they have a relationship with the chairperson that have oversight over their agencies?
Question, maybe you can take it first. Do you have a relationship with the chairperson in the Senate?
Definitely.
I know what I'm going
Definitely. My chair is the Honorable Senator Prince Kembumoyi, and we relate very well.
Yes, we have a good relationship with the Senator Baba.
Do you have them telephone numbers?
Yes, we do, but as I said, yes, I do.
I will come for the explanation. I don't want to know if you have the telephone numbers.
You have a chair telephone number?
No, I have the numbers. I have the numbers.
Have you ever sent him or over you any text message in the past?
Yeah,
Have they telephone calls to them?
definitely.
This was
Okay.
okay. I'm only to go down to the different path.
No, answer that question.
Yeah.
Restricted to this issue.
I will restrict it to this issue. Was there a problem with all your explanation that you could not send them a text message or a telephone call? You were so busy with all of what you have explained that you could not inform them of the basis schedule? Question.
As I said, my intention was to appear. I had no intention not to appear. Firstly, I was right across the room.
Minister, let me break you. At the point where you could not appear, where you realized you could not appear, was it impossible to send a text message? I'm going to the Contempt because if I go to the Contempt, the whole Senate will go on fire.
Well, the Honorable Senator, if you follow, I faced at that moment a very exigent matter where the Honorable House Representative had deployed, I think, 4 sergeants at arms to arrest my living body. And while in conversation with
Thank you for your explanation.
So the circumstances, because everything was happening at the same time, while trying to negotiate with the House and give them some explanation, and we were, my advance team, led by the Deputy for Budget, was already practically in the Senate, and when she got to know that it was not only me that was being sought, she was also included. She sent a message, a delay, and we got in touch with the pro tem through her, and we were told that unfortunately the session had adjourned. So that prevented me from coming.
Thank you, Minister.
So my circumstance at that hour.
Minister, I got your point.
Yeah.
Honorable Senator, I was of the opinion that the representatives that are sent to represent me would be king. So based upon that, I did not call the chairperson.
In that event, did you recommend them? Have you recommended them?
I've been very disappointed. So sometimes when I'm disappointed, I calm down before I take action.
Okay. The President is saying this new colleague, I will rest, and I will come back for the issue of sanctions.
So, President of the Senate colleagues, I don't think we need to concentrate on the issue. Reason being that under Article 3 of the 1986 Constitution, we have 3 branches of government with distinct functions. The minister cannot tell all the obligation of the executive except we call him. If we call him, it is incumbent upon him to either inform or he can. Besides that, Mr. President, when circumstantial evidence are corroborative, it can be admissible. He refused to go to the House of Representatives, for which he then placed on contempt. And again, the same attitude that was exhibited there are also happening here in honor contempt. So no need to consider anything with all what you say. It's a contemporary issue, we understand. But the coordination within the branches need to be respected. We need to set an example in this country so the ministers, deputies, and whosoever will respect us as a legislator. If we make ourselves cheap, we will bow cheap. One people are placed on contempt, one require of contempt charges. In my mind, two things. Either you go to jail or both will fine you. So for me, I will suggest to this whole body, in order for the people to understand and those that will be involved in such party tomorrow to curtail, they will be paid to pay 4,999 cents in government coffer. The legitimate flood receipts to this other body as a first rally. The issue of the detention, we can consider it. That's my main point issue. Like doing that. I'm appealing to all you consciences. It is my people.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished senators. As you may be aware, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning is the oversight institution of the Ways Means Finance Committee. And as all of us are aware, that under the leadership of Minister Gafuan, no day has the minister or his able deputies turned down our request, even if it is on an emergency basis. All of us can attest to that, members of the committee, even if they are not invited officially, just by calling that they have to appear here to answer to issues surrounding budgets, surrounding payment, they have always made a representation of the ministry available. So, as a chair of the committee, I want to be frank that the action of Tuesday, all of us felt bad, but we did not know what was happening until later we started to see on social media the unfolding at the border, which, of course, the leadership was also invited to the national security meeting to be briefed. So the Honorable has made the case, but contempt can hold when there are repeated actions of the entity involved, citing instances. So as the chair of this committee, I want to plead with this honored body on this first account that will be placed on notice and give a strong warning to the institution to always do that due diligence that will make this organ body to be continuously respected. So, Mr. Presiding, I think this is the first time under the leadership of Mr. Gaffron that we have encountered such a situation. And I want to plead with this body to give us a second chance so that we are placed on notice. Thank you.
Mr. Gaffron, you only 50 seconds.
Oh, I don't think I'm here. 50 seconds. I think I'm here 50 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President. Distinguished audience. My colleague raised Article 3. My colleague Senator Coker raised Article 3 of the Constitution as a foundation for his position that the Senate should sanction these officials before us for contempt.
Order, President.
Order is the contempt is under Article 44, not Article 3. Article 44, not 3.
My colleague made reference to Article 3 in the spirit of 3 branches of government and in coordinated spirit. He made reference to that. I know that Article 44 is the basis for the source of authority of the legislature for contempt. Contempt of the legislature comprises of actions that impede the legislative functions or obstruct officers of the legislature from performing their duty. If the sergeant at arms of the Senate or any Senate chamber staff or officials of the Senate are coming to work, for instance, or any authority of government by their action that will prevent, obstruct their coming to session, and because of that, the Senate could not proceed. That is the contempt action. When we pass budget, make appropriation, and the places the appropriation should go, we are not getting proper information. We'll make appropriation in the budget for volunteer teachers, volunteer health workers, and other sectors of government, and we are getting complaints that these places are not performing, and when we invite or cite the public officials concerned with those sectors, and their failure, refusal, and neglect to appear is ground for contempt. Notwithstanding their explanation is ground for contempt, we wanted to lay that basis so it doesn't seem that the Senate is attempting to exercise naked power that is not defined. And I must make it clear that these officials of government are not before the Senate constitutionally for our behalf. It's not even for our allowance if it is not paid yet. The communication that brought them here or should have brought them here was in the interest of health workers and teachers who are on voluntary payroll, and where we made appropriation through the budget to get them incorporated on the payroll or to pay them even as volunteer government workers. Their failure to appear without informing us why they did not appear is the reason we are here. we needed to set the basis. It is my view that the Senate will decide, but left to me my vote, the Minister of Health will be drastically punished in keeping with the sanction regime that we have as a Senate. For non-cooperation, utter disrespect, especially to the Committee of Health, and I am a member of that committee, so I speak as member of the Committee on Health. I will pause for now and let the team on the floor decide, and then we'll decide the action we'll take.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President and President of the Senate. I equally follow the presentations made by ministers. And I too had a little problem with the health minister. And I thought Senator Fellow was going to raise that. But he didn't because of past solidarity. We, right before the glare of the public, we insisted that no deputy minister should represent an entity here. We enforce that decision. The Minister for Health, in her explanation, indicated that she sent a team. And she didn't give any justifiable reason why she sent a team. Unlike the Minister of Finance, who, in my mind, presented a convincing explanation that justified why he wasn't present. But he came by the time the session had adjourned. So for me, Vice President and President of the Senate, Felicitas of the Cuba, he made reference to his historical trend. I also follow Senator Mui's presentation. He highlighted that there have been no historical trend where the Minister of Finance has fired this. And I'd like to concur with him, owing to the explanation of the Minister, so that we can give him a warning. And I'm taking this from Senator Koga's presentation. He said we should warn them by fining them. If we are warning, we cannot be warning and fining. So I want to agree with you, Senator Koga, that we warn them, but the fining aspect, it is recorded. So the issue of fine should be removed. I want to plead with you, my dear brother friend, Senator Koga, that we remove the issue of fine and give what I will refer to as a final warning. And I also take you from what Senator Dillon said, that we are here on account of ourselves. We didn't raise this issue because we want to demonstrate that we have power and authority that we can exercise at any point in time. The issue was raised on account of volunteer healthcare workers and volunteer education workers. And if that is our core intent, I'd like to plead with this august body that we move swiftly on this matter and move on to the substantive that has to do with volunteer healthcare workers as well as volunteer education workers. Thank you, and I so submit.
Thank you, Mr. President. My vote will be determined by the explanation the Minister of Finance gave. I listen to your explanation, but I want you to provide this clarification. Do you regret that even with your attempt to come to the Senate and you were not able to do a communication, you were able to, do you see that as regret? Do you regret that you were not able to do the communication because of the situation you were in? No. I regret because I really wanted to be here to explain to you all some of the situation, so that as we always do, get a common understanding and find solution. As I said, Honorable Senator, it was almost like evolving things happening at the same time. I wanted to come. In fact, my deputy was here because where I was, and I had informed the president that I would have to slip out. I had a deputy, the Honorable Deputy for Economic Management, Honorable Deputy Zuo, who was prepared to represent me for the other aspects because the meeting started to get longer because of other state exigencies. So, but then, as I told you, your colleagues at the House had an issue that we had to address. And that took some of the time. And before we could sort out things, when we contacted the Honorable Contempt, she told us that you had joined. So they understand that we didn't have the time, so which I regret. And that's why I came to tell you all that we regret it, and we make ourselves available to give you information that you need to make your decision. Yeah.
Thank you. President Lawrence, and you running
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this is our first contempt hearing of the 55th. I stand to be corrected. And I want to say thank you to the Senate for taking the stand. That shows the kind of interest we have in the work that we do. On the day that the ministers and the directors should have been here, session was not as long as it usually been. I think we were on the session right after 2 o'clock. I got a call from Deputy Minister Tanya, and she has said that the entire team was on the way here until the session was over. And that is in addition to the apology from the Minister of Finance. I can also support the chair on Ways, Means and Finance by saying that the Minister of Finance and his team, they've been very cooperative. They come even on short notices. So I would say to the Senate, we can give them a warning, because we've heard from the committee's members of Ways, Means and Finance, and they're very positive because of the way they've worked with them. But it would be important to hear from the chairperson on the committee on health and some of the members on health about their workings with the Ministry of Health before we can make some consideration. Thank you.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I listened to the two witnesses, gave reasons why they shouldn't be held in contempt. They gave reasons why they couldn't be here. I also listened to the views. I also listened to the views from my colleagues across the floor. The one from Honorable Moi and the one from the Contempt. In my opinion, these expressions been made earlier, I would have opted for us to go for the substantive issues and not necessarily dwell on the issue of contempt. And that is not to suggest that the issue of contempt is not important. You know, when I was representative, we had a situation with the House trying to assert its contempt power, and was as a result of a public statement Mr. Dillon, then the now senator, made, which the House considered offensive. The Honorable Alex Taylor was then speaker. And I majestically walked to the podium after Honorable Dillon issue was raised to the floor, and I advised against pressing the contempt charges against Honorable Dillon. I think he was then working with one of the senators. And the House was fired up. And the House insisted that he needed to be taught a lesson. And I pleaded that we will elevate Honorable Dillon beyond the margin acceptable in the political space. The speaker didn't listen. Yeah. Who was it? And the entire floor supported that we proceeded with the contempt. To the best of my recollection, I was the only representative who abstained or didn't support it, because I knew the Liberian people were not interested in the issue of the contempt. That was strictly for the House. They were more interested in the substantive issues that would bring benefit to them. The House found Honorable Dillon guilty and decided to incarcerate him. And the result of that is Senator Dillon is sending up to jail. I always will guide against these political mistakes, because the consequences can be sometimes to the opposite of what is expected. And I do not suggest that is the situation now. But I say this to stress that with the explanation given, it is more important, more beneficial to the country that we delve into the substantive issues that the ministers were confirmed to carry out. I believe, as a result of the answers from the two ministers to the question raised by Honorable Finlay, as a result of that explanation provided, I come to the conclusion that the relationship between the ministers and the chairpersons may not have risen to the level expected, because your chairpersons are just telephone call away. And if you are in that kind of relationship, and this is not to suggest you have friction, what I'm saying, they are chairpersons for the sole purpose of connecting you with the Senate, so that we do not necessarily waste our time and this is not to suggest the Senate is wasting its time, or we can use the time for more important issues. We spend almost an hour delving into whether we should hold any contempt or not. One could be delving into why the volunteer teachers are not on payroll, why the volunteer health workers are not on payroll. These are the substantive issues. And some of the reasons why you are here is exactly because you will not take advantage of having a chairperson or having chairpersons who can indeed extend to us the required information for us to make progress. I don't believe that we should dwell on the contempt issue any longer, given the explanation that has been provided. As a matter of fact, nobody will take us seriously, even though what the Constitution says. If you were to find the Honorable Finance Minister $4,900, nobody will take you seriously. It will be just fun. And so my advice would be, the Finance Minister was apologetic like the Minister of Health. Let's proceed with the most substantive issue and forget about the contempt. Had they come and have shown disrespect to the Senate, that would be a different case. And in that case, I would advise for us to go for the maximum punishment. But now that they are remorseful, let's delve into the substantive issue. For me, that is what the country is more interested in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Senate. In following the trend of our discussion, in lieu of the apology of the two witnesses, I was held in contempt in 1986. I was held in contempt in 1986, and took it for granted until they were taking me to prison. Because we were raising the money, I was not ordered incarcerated. I was ordered to pay a fine, or the amount is, if the amount is not paid within that time, I should be incarcerated until it is paid. So we went to get permission that we have almost the money for that money completing and paying. He said, but we're looking for you. You will be there when they bring the money to receive. Then you will get out. So that's how I found myself in trouble. So sometimes, it's not always, I look at contempt differently. So, ministers were on a very difficult condition to get things done. When I was in the executive, I have both gray hair and now. Yes, I have both gray hair and now. Because when it's a set, my bosses to come here, the attention to come here. So you will not sleep, you will be going through papers. By the time you come here, your hair is white. So I want to appeal to my colleagues. As what the speaker has said, the main issue is to get to the salary or the payment of volunteer workers. We can pause the contempt and see how that goes. When they perform fully on that, then maybe the contempt becomes for revisitation. But I think we should take the apology. If we want to have a fine or warning, we can possibly compare to do a letter of admission to their conduct that will go far. Because this will be a policeman and taxi driver. I don't think in a hurry. Policeman and taxi driver, I don't think in a hurry. Yes. So we can take the apology and then transform it into a written apology for our record. We'll proceed with the issues for which they have been cited. The volunteer teacher and the volunteer health workers. The Minister of Finance was brought into just in case the health ministry said that they tried to pass the salary and the Ministry of Finance was the cause. Now they are in trouble. So this is my appeal to my colleagues that we should let them transform their apology in writing our record. We'll proceed with the main issue and see how that will go. Their performance will determine a many other things as of yet.
Senator Brown?
Mr. Vice President, President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, I would like to thank previous speakers who clarified the decision of the Senate to cite the officials of government under contempt charges. It is true that when we as lawmakers invite agents of the executive branch of government and they do not appear, it impedes our work. And the purpose for which they were invited, the issue of salaries of our health workers, issue of salaries for teachers now being on payroll, this was critical, and it is still critical. By next week, we should be closing and we'll be returning to our various campus. And we're going to meet these problems ahead of us. But I listened to the two ministers, their explanations for which they did not come. And I believe that we all are national leaders. We know what is currently happening in our country. Indeed, there is an issue that's facing our country now. I believe the pro tem, maybe the next day or before close, will call meeting to brief the entire Senate. There is an issue. The issue they alluded to for which they did not appear. The pro tem has testified to the cooperative attitude, especially of the Minister of Finance. I, as a member of the Ways, Means and Finance Committee, I can also attest to this, just as the chair did. The minister has been cooperative. Even in our committee meetings, I shall notice he's there. Never the fact that the actions sought to maybe impede our work, but I want us to take confidence in the fact that the reasons are genuine, they do exist. I'm a leader of this country. We have been briefed. The reason is genuine, and I want us to believe them. And the fact that we have taken this stand, it has set our stand on these issues. I think we have made a point. I think we have made a point. So I want to join previous speakers, my chairman, the pro tem Senator of Maryland County, who is my colleague. I want to appeal to this Senate, to the plenary, that the contempt charges over the two officials be purged, and that just as Senator Bani said, let's go back to the original issue. Why? I'm on my feet. All right, so let me conclude here, presiding. Let's pause the contempt charges. Let's return to the original issues regarding our teachers, our health workers on payroll, and I hope we can hold this hearing before we can go back to our respective counties. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding, and with your indulgence, be allowed me to sit to address the plenary. Let me say thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to previous speakers. I listened to the Ways and Means Committee chairperson, acknowledging the cooperative attitude of the Minister of Finance. And I also listened to my colleague, Senator Finley, who asked whether, as chairperson, the Minister of Health and I have relationship. Let me say for this hearing that we have a very cordial relationship. However, on the work front, if you will, the Committee of Health is only next to the Committees on Security and Ways and Means. We are a 14-member committee. It's a very large committee, and I think you are one of my members. There have been times that the plenary have given us responsibility that we couldn't easily conclude on because of some of these not having your presence. And most of the time I stand in the gap as chairperson. But when issues of importance come to the committee, and by extension to plenary, then it becomes very important that we address it. I was questioned on Thursday as to whether I received a text. And I think when you called me this morning, I said, once you reach out to me, I've always been able to tell my colleague that, oh, she's not available or a person. But why that is true, we all have listened to what has happened during the time of the schedule of this hearing that concerned the entire nation. I think there was just an error of not communicating. But let this hearing also serve as a call that your work impacts our work just as our work impacts your work. When these issues come up, like my colleague mentioned, we'll be going to our constituents, and questions will be, what has happened with voluntary workers, health and education? And we cannot answer with the numbers. It is not good for the work that we were sent here to do. So let's step up, especially on the issue of voluntary health workers and teachers. We shouldn't have been here if we have followed some of the budget law. The budget law requires for quarterly reporting. And if that report is on my desk as health committee chair, it's on the Ways and Means Committee desk. Once question is on the floor, we'll be able to speak to it. But because those reports are not coming as they should be coming, will cause us to waste all of this time discussing. So I just want to caution you, especially my own minister, that when it has to do with the committee, make time to respond. Today, the education minister is not here because of that single action she took, which demonstrated respect for the work we do. So let's try and step up the way we work, the way we coordinate. The Constitution says coordination. We have to put that into action. Having said that, this is the first time since I've been in the Senate that we are having a contempt hearing. Everybody had alluded to that. Most people alluded to that. You didn't? I said since I've been here.
Well, you're right.
I said since I've been here, and that 2 years ago. Wow. So let this hearing serve as a warning itself, like other police have said, and let's move back to discussing this offensive issue and move on and develop the work relationship with the ministers and they too, so that our work can be effective and we can have results for the plenary whenever we are called. Thank you.
Joseph, then we get a motion.
So, Mr. President and colleagues, let me say thanks to our previous speakers.
This is our first contempt hearing, it's true. Considering that the two ministers spoken very well, and they have, from the explanation, there's clear indication that they are ready to work forward along with us. On this note, Honorable President and colleagues, I want to say thank you. I've been a member of the Health Committee and Committee on Ways and Means. We want to kindly appeal to you. Let's move forward, as other speakers have said, and let's discuss the issue going forward, and so that we can take another decision in the interest of our people. Having said that, while on my feet,
when you on our hands, go ahead. So I would just want to say something small. Ministers, senators, from the view I'm hearing, it's like I'm not concluding right now, going to the real issue, but it's good to respect the Senate. The process, the legislature, especially the Senate, the process of you being a minister, that appointment process is shared with the President. The President nominates, the Senate confirms. If the Senate rejects you, you cannot be minister. And so it's good to respect them when there are issues. If you can come, make a call to the chairperson as the statement was made, so that they avoid some of these things and get to their issue. This is to all ministers, and don't go for you are sitting here, but it's to all ministers, all appointees of government. As the Vice President and member of Cabinet, it's good for Cabinet to respect members of the legislature, when the plenary call you, committee call you, make yourself available so that they themselves can get a message and relate to their people. Having said that, I will want to give the motion to Speaker Tyler. What's the Speaker?
What time of day we go?
Our colleagues, Mr. President and colleagues, I move if I can obtain that the two ministers, as suggested by the Finance Minister, that the Senate temporary justice revising and allow us to proceed to the substantive election, which is in the interest of the people of African Senate. If we move and second that this Senate, this plenary temporary justice revising, and that we get to the real issue. Are you ready to vote?
Ready.
What's our readiness and the feeling?
Thank you, Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues. I'll be ready to vote if we first sanction the ministers and then tender mercy. But we are saying, for you sanction their name, forgive them. In addition to that, I also want to, there are 3 witnesses that we sanctioned today. One of them have asked for excuse, that you include that witness within your motion.
So you can amend it. It's not the motion, so you can amend it. I'm going to ask the motion.
Yeah, but you did. Yes. The director asked for.
No.
He said that. The director
Oh. So what do we do? I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah, we accept that the CSA, the American General, be included. But we deny, because given the views on the floor, I believe plenary want us to go to the substantive measures, so I'm not set on that.
Yeah, the honorable moving, I will be ready to vote
If you accept this amendment, since this was a contempt hearing and the Minister of Education was not invited to be here today also, and she being one of the major players that the Senate will want to get clarity from, that we dismiss this hearing and then call all of the players to appear before us on Tuesday so that we can have a full hearing instead of partial hearing. If we can accept that amendment. That's what I said.
Who for the
Thursday is the day that the Senate should be closing. We have a lot of other issues to resolve. So I would suggest that we have session Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So you can make a motion within
Okay, Wednesday. Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
So Wednesday. Yeah.
So I think that deal with the issue, then before we close, we can do that motion. Huh? That deal with the issue, that deal with that motion separate. Before we close, we can have a motion as a...
Yeah, when the call is...
Yeah, you already done? Yeah. What you want to do already? So stay out on the
So instead of
already
Wednesday, for this year,
I already
So that's
Considering that this plenary run activities and both chairs spoke well of the two ministers in the cooperation, I will be ready to vote that the issue being discussed be sent back to the two committees.
We reject that. Thank you. It means all the residents satisfied, right? With all the residents satisfied, those in favor say yea. Against? So I can't put us a second way. He was getting witnesses from both and they started them, and then we can continue with business with it.
Veterans of opposition and the attorney presented in by the chairman, that was on the Senate of the committee of the rule you are here by this time.
You should not be held in contempt for not appearing before them when you receive the communication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We at the Ministry of Finance consider the Senate or the legislature in general as critical to the success of the ministry critical to the achievement of the goals that we all set as a government. So I will not willfully and intentionally decide to not to honor the invitation of the Honorable Liberian Senate. As you all know, we are in difficult moments with the situation evolving in the Middle East that have some reverberations on us. I chair the technical economic management team that comprises other actors in the economy. We also are facing some issues, some of you are aware, with the situation of our border. I am a member of the National Security Council, which has been meeting since Monday, including last night. We met as a cabinet on Thursday to discuss our development agenda, the progress for the first year challenges. We did not exhaust, and we had planned to exhaust the remaining pillars on Tuesday, and given the time that was allotted, given that it was just those residual pillars, my intention was to deal with those issues and make myself available at the Honorable Liberian Senate to join colleagues to give more insight in what we know about the situation at bar. As we were meeting, in fact, I had even earlier informed the President that I would be coming to the Senate, but things evolved. While we were meeting, the situation on the border got a little bit more exigent, and the cabinet had to huddle in making some quick decisions, some of which have some monetary implications. And while we were meeting, we had to conclude some initiatives with the Liberia Petroleum Refining Corporation to ensure that we don't run out of critically needed fuel. And those actions were, I was at the center of those actions. And while I was even attempting, your colleagues, the Honorable House of Representatives, had asked that I be presented, my living body be presented at the House. So it was an issue that we had to address. My deputy, who was here to tell you that I'm coming, reached at the legislature, and when she heard that it was not only my living body that was being sought, but all deputies, she too, she was in the perimeters, but she had to find some tactical way to deal with it. And so, while in conversation with the House, explaining some things, when we contacted through the deputy, because I was on my way and were told that the session had adjourned. So there was no intention to disregard or disrespect this honorable body. The issue at the House had to do with payments. As we speak, I don't want to name the bank. We are facing problem. There is not only members of the legislature, monies were remitted almost 2 weeks ago, but there is there's a bank that is facing some challenges in paying government workers. So want to understand the sentiment at the house, and I'm told that some of you here are affected. We have to take time. I don't want to make the situation worse, but it's been sorted out. And so while doing that, trying to negotiate with your colleagues, the speaker and his team, and trying to make my way, we're told that the session had been adjourned. So that's why I came. I said earlier that this is not legalistic, that I'm coming to the House of Elders. I'm always available. So I had no intention, I would never ever set out to disregard the Honorable Liberian Senate. The only reason why I brought my deputy and the technical folks, because I'm very aware that the issue about that you call the session was still germane, and so that if to the extent that you want that conversation can be had. So I'm at your disposal. I'm also at your mercy. So, but whatever your wisdom decides, I'm your humble servant. Thank you very much.